Everyone, it's Crystal. This is my first vlog, so I've never really vlogged before. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Crystal. Basically, I'm about 32 years old, and, I live in Rhode Island. Um, I have a child. Um, you know, Basically, I'm trying to touch base with some people, and on a normal, simple level. And I just basically want to talk about depression and different things like that. Um, Trying to relate with people and maybe hopefully help them out just a bit. Um, Maybe I could, reach out to somebody, and if they need help, I'll be here. Um, so when I was a little girl growing up, I was, you know, I, I never really felt very wanted. And my mother, she always seemed, they pushed me away a lot. And my dad was mostly there for me, but when him and my mother split, he was still there, but he left, so he didn't live in the house. And my mother was the type of person where she didn't really talk too much. She had her own little cliques, and she talked to her own people, and she kind of ignored me. And what I got from my family a lot was, why don't you be more like your sister? That was the big thing that I got a lot, is why don't you be more like your sister? So I never really felt really wanted. I always felt like a side cast or a misfit. Um, and I found my own ways to cope with things. I took on drawing and reading, were a couple of my biggest things. I love music. I always listen to music. It's a great coping level. Basically, when I was a little girl, we got robbed twice before I was 7. I lived in this house, and the first robbery was I lived in a cottage, and we lived there for about 4 years. And, this is when we first moved in, maybe a year in, and we got robbed. And I actually, this nice little cottage, and when you walked up the stairs, directly up the steps was my bedroom. And we had these vents, and I had this vent, it went like right over the, the stove that was downstairs. And that's how I got my heat. And basically, I heard these robbers come in. And I looked down from the vent, and I actually saw them taking, my stuff out of my house. So it wasn't the best thing in the world for a little girl to see. Of course, I ran into my parents' room like any kid would do, and my mother did not believe me. I woke her up, Mom, 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 there's people down there and they're taking our stuff, and I saw them, you know. And of course, my parents didn't believe me. They're like, go back to bed. Nothing's happening. It's all your imagination. Like, what parent would actually believe a kid of that age? The next morning, of course, they went downstairs, and they realized that, the VCR was missing. So, they stole my VCR. So that was pretty scary when I was a little girl to go through that. Then, after my dad moved out, our house actually ended up getting ransacked. These people came in, and they actually trashed the whole house. They threw everything on the floor. They peed on the floor. There was food on the floor. They actually went through my pictures, and they ripped up all my pictures. So it was pretty devastating, for a little girl of my age at the time, to go through such a thing. So I wasn't sure, if anyone out there has ever gone through the experiences that I went through, and if maybe they could touch base with me and relate, maybe I could help out a little bit or make suggestions. So it was one thing, and I had a hard time in school because of it. Um, I was always a little scared, didn't really want to be around a lot of people, but at the same time, I always felt like I needed people. So even though I wanted to be alone a lot, I actually always felt like I was too alone sometimes, where I was over attached and needed someone constantly. Um, uh, so there's a couple basic things in my life that happened that I'm not proud of, but they realistically were not my fault. Um, so I can't really take blame for them. Um, my mother, she wasn't the best mother. Like I said, she never really talked to me very much. We didn't relate on a mother-daughter relationship maybe until way later. The way we communicated wasn't great. I always used to tell her she didn't love me. So basically, I used to have her buy me stuff. That was like my out type. Like I need love. I need my parents. I need this. I need that. So I gotta have this and I gotta have that. And I felt like on a level that was her way of loving me. Like she would give me things. And even though I felt like that was our connection and that's how we related and that's how we talked and communicated basically, it wasn't enough. I never really felt wanted still, which can be a good thing for a child. Um, I always wanted her to read with me. That kind of made me feel wanted when she'd read with me. I liked that. I mean, if she did a little more reading with me, that would have been really good. I would have liked that. Um, but she used to hit me with the broom, and in public, a lot of the time she'd actually just like slap me across the face. So it was felt, um, just like she never really loved me. She actually threatened to call the police on me a lot. She threw big fits. Um, you know. And then after the 4 years that we lived in our college cottage, we actually after we moved out of there, we just kind of moved a lot, which didn't help with my school situation. So I got a little more depressed because of that. Um, we had a dog named Blackie. He was kind of like my savior, if I needed someone to kind of, relate to and, just hang out with. At least I had the dog, and he was really friendly, my dog. Um, like one of the best dogs ever. His name was Blackie, and I really liked him. So, kids that don't have pets as kids, um, I don't know how well they grow up because having a pet when you're a child is like the best thing in the world because, you always have someone to kind of be with you at all times, even when you're alone, which is a good thing, and they say having animals is very comforting and it helps cope with a lot of things. Um, so basically, I wanted to touch base with you. This is the first video I'm making on depression. And I just want to know how many people out there can relate to similar situations and, how they coped with things and if there's anything I can do to kind of reach out and help with that and how I'm coping with things currently. And maybe someone else could give me some advice, even to that level. Um, so, I always had a pet as a kid, that always helped. But I got into reading, which was really nice. When I was depressed, I'd always read. Um, I started reading when I was 11, and I read quite a bit. Um, I read even in the car. I'd be walking down the street, I'd be reading. I'd get in the car, we'd be driving, I'd be reading. Um, I almost never put my book down when I was 11. Always, always reading. Or music. I always had my headphones on. My dad used to freak out. Would you take those things off already? So, I always, always had my headphones on. Music is like a very relaxing, quiet place. And believe it or not, I got a lot into my dad's music, even though when I was younger I used to hate it. Me and him, we just would drive, look at the scenery, and just listen to music. Bob Marley, Alice in Chains, just Eric Clapton, tons of different things, that he was into. I'm just trying to think of some of the different bands, basically. But just a lot of different, bands. I know Bad Company is one of them. Just all these different things in it. And I always didn't think I'd like them. I always thought, oh, who wants to listen to this stuff? You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, like, why would you want to listen to that? But I grew up to love it. I absolutely love that stuff now, especially Bob Dylan. So thank you guys for listening and to me today. And this is the first blog, and I will be back with a second one. So thanks a lot. This is Crystal Wheeler, and I will be signing out. Thanks. Bye.